What's happening, everybody? I hope you're doing good. I hope the sound is good. Sorry, just traveled and yeah, I lost some of the equipment in the bag. So the quality obviously won't be the same. But yeah, thank you very much for being faithful to us. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for that. It's late at night, but like I'm always say, I'm a man of my word. You're gonna hear from me. Okay, we spoke about Niger on the previous video. We spoke on how Niger stopped a law that was implemented since 2015. There was a law that Niger implemented by the request of the European Union. So Niger put in place a law to stop immigrants from crossing Niger because a lot of sub-Saharan Africans would cross Niger trying to go to Europe. So Europeans found a technique saying the best way to stop immigrants from coming to Europe, let's sponsor Niger. We're going to give them some money. We're going to give them some fund. We're going to help them do certain things. But in return, Niger will arrest anybody who will facilitate immigrants. That's meaning all Nigerian that will facilitate immigrants from sub-Saharan Africa crossing through Niger trying to go to Europe. They will be fined 30,000 euros and 10 years imprisonment. Crazy. Some people say 10 years imprisonment. You see some other places say 2 to 20 years imprisonment for just helping some people. And let me just give you context here. You know, Africans have what they call Ubuntu. Ubuntu simply means kindness toward each other. So you as a foreign person, if you come into my city and I see that you're struggling, I'm most likely going to help you. Okay, I'm not going to ask where you're going. Maybe I'll ask where you're going. You say you're going to the north. I'll probably, keep you in my house. If you ask me the way, I'm not going to say I don't know the way. I'm probably going to show you the way to cross my country.
I must never allow my neighbor to go hungry while I've got a little food in my house.
Now, Niger's law said if you do so, you're going to be liable. They can take you to jail for 20 years. That was the law. So now, what has happened? Niger was very angry at what happened earlier. They've suspended the law. Now the European Union has reacted. The EU say they are very concerned by the repeal of the law of migrant smuggling. The vote on the law in 2015 led to a significant drop in irregular arrival and number of deaths in the desert. So a lot of migrants, according to Europeans, lost their, in the deserts. European Commissioner of Home Affairs, Ylva Johansson, said on Tuesday, November 28, that she was very concerned about the Nigerian military regime repeal of the law criminalizing migrant smuggling in a country which is a hub to Europe. You know what I'm saying, fellas? Like I always say, you want to punish somebody, you must hit them where the money comes from. Okay, you hit the pocket, they're going to react very quickly. A company is not reacting properly to you, hit the pocket. An organization is not reacting according to the way they're supposed to do, you hit the pocket. Trust me, you don't buy from them, you don't do anything related to their finances, they're going to react very quickly. Guess what? This is working tremendously with the Europeans. So Europe used to send money to Niger to stop them to encourage them to stop African migrants from going to Europe. Because Niger toppled the president. Remember context? Niger is a beautiful country. Here's a map. I know many of us don't know. So what's happened in Niger recently was the people of Niger decided to topple the president because presidents seem to be working for the interest of foreign nations, foreign companies, and not the people. Meaning, Niger was a country colonized by the French for many years. In the 1960s, the French people said, you know what, you guys, I'm going to give you independence. You can run yourself. Officially, they were free, but unofficially, they were not, because France still runs the show. They got them by the balls, yes. The money, the finances, and everything is controlled by them. Now, shortly, a few months back, people of Niger say enough is enough. President, you are working from the French. You are working for the benefit of French companies, not from the Nigerian people. We're throwing you away. So they topple the president without necessarily physically harming the president. So they changed the regime. Many countries in Africa, in West Africa, unfortunately, yeah, they are traitors. Many of them were very angry at Niger. The ECOWAS countries, 15 countries angry against Niger because Niger decided to change. French people were not happy because Niger asked them to leave the country. We don't want you here anymore. They toppled Mohamed Bazoum. They chased the French away. They wanted their own thing. Then the European Union said, because you topple the president Mohamed Bazoum, we're going to cut aid. Okay, the money we used to send you to stop migrants, remember? Europeans used to send money to Niger to prevent sub-Saharan Africans from crossing Niger. They stopped sending that money. Now Niger has reacted. They say, you know what? We're going to let them pass. We're not stopping nobody. That law is not, it's void now. Finished. Now guess who's feeling it? The Europeans. Now the Europeans are thinking, between the money we used to send to Niger and the money we have to provide in order to, entertain or block these sub-Saharan Africans that are going to be coming in tremendously and every single day. Yeah, the choice is very clear. Now they're very, very much trying to voice themselves in a very polite way. We are very concerned by the fact that Niger has abolished the law. This law, helped us. This law prevented many in the desert, migrants in the desert, acting like they actually really care about migrants. And that's funny, acting like they care about the lives of migrants in the desert. That's not true. I mean, if they know that their aid to Niger helped a lot of Nigerians, how many migrants actually, in the desert? How many people are being helped in Niger with the money coming from Europe? So you were telling me you didn't care about the people that you were arming by stopping the money you used to send to Niger, but you were more worried about migrants in the desert? You don't worry about the money that's helped people in Niger when you sent it, but you are more worried about migrants in the desert. Doesn't make any sense. It's crazy, fellas. I think, like I always say, it's very necessary to know how to make yourself respected. Okay, so she said she recalled the passing of the law in Niger. This is the lady of the European Union saying, in 2015 had led to significant drop in irregular arrival and the number of deaths in deserts. Irregular arrival of migrants. So when they voted the law in 2015, there were much less people coming to Europe. Now that Niger say we no more such law, they're scared, obviously, because people are coming. The European Union condemned strongly the July 26 takeover. They condemned the takeover in Niger by the military, who has since held President Mohamed Bazoum captive in the wake of the coup. So the reason why they kept President Bazoum captive, because he refused to sign, is him leaving the office. So basically, they said to him, here's the paper, just sign, say, I'm no longer president. He refused to do it. So they said, okay, we cannot let you go legally, because if you don't say that you're not president anymore, legally you're still president. That's the reason why they kept him. So the Nigerian military regime announced on Monday evening it had repealed the 2015 law, asserting in particular that this law does not align with how they perceive it. So, again, fellas, very interesting. People of Niger have made a great decision for themselves in the likes of Mali and Burkina Faso. These are the three countries in Africa that have stood up recently trying to find their own ways. They want to live their own life. They've had enough with France. Let me give you context once more. France colonized many African countries for many, many years. They beat the living crap out of many people. Yeah, sorry to say it that way. That's the reality of it. Only in the 1960s, after looting, stealing, taking things, and doing so many negative things, they decided to give them independence. Now, after independence, that wasn't really independence. France decided it's going to start printing money, the currency used by these ex-French colonies. Yes, you guessed it right. The CFA franc. That means all these countries in Africa, colonized by the French, use a currency that is printed in France today. In 2023. Imagine. Okay, your money is printed in France. And what's even worse is that your money cannot be utilized in France. So if you take your money, you go with it, your currency, you go with it in Paris, you can't buy anything. You can't use it. So it's worthless. And that's what keeps France powerful compared to these other African countries. Their economy is based on the colonies. If these colonies kick them away, France is going to be a poor country. Now, Niger isn't enough. Mali isn't enough. Burkina Faso isn't enough. What do they have in common? They all topple their president. They're running the country now. As opposed to Cote d'Ivoire, Senegal, and many other African countries that up until now, actually, some people believe are just complete puppets of the French government. So now, very clearly, the Europeans are trying to renegotiate, saying, hey, listen, we used to send you money so you could keep all the Africans in Africa, stop them from crossing, sending them to jail. But now, hey, it seems like you're not very happy. How can you renegotiate? They just want to say that, but they're just shy. I think they're just shy. They're saying, oh, they're worried about migrants in the desert. No, you're not worried about them. The bottom line is, why do people cross going to Europe?